What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 21 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Monday, November 18th, 2024. I'm your host, Zach Malamud, back with all the latest in New York sports. Before we get started today, please subscribe below. Follow all of my social accounts. With it being Monday, we do have to start with this weekend in the NFL, and no better place to start with the New York Jets, who fall once again, this time at the hands of the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. A 28-27 loss to move the Jets to 3-8. Colts move to 5-6 on the year, and with the Jets falling to 3-8 now, you look at this game and say, well, what was the problem this week? I think this season was over a couple of weeks ago, and obviously there was still some belief from the Jets faithful, but I think when you look at it in the end, those couple of losses prove that the Jets didn't have enough fight to win those games, so it wouldn't get them over the top in the long run. Then you look at this one and you say, well, what was the problem here? It was on the defense in the end. When you look at the fourth quarter, Jets have a 24-16 lead against the Colts in the fourth quarter. They put up a touchdown, and Indianapolis gets the ball back, scores. Then the Jets settle for a field goal after a long 7.5-minute drive. And then Indianapolis comes the other way. You need the Jets defense to get one stop on those two drives. And Indianapolis scores once again to give them the 28-27 lead. Of course, in Anthony Richardson run, it was once again. 2-point conversion was no good. And the Jets had a chance to then drive back down the field and win the game in the end. But they get a sack on Aaron Rodgers. Indy's defense does, and time expires, and the Jets fall to 3-8. I mean, you look at what the defense has been doing recently, and you can mention the firing of Robert Saleh has completely destroyed the chemistry of this defense. I think when you look at the defense overall, there's 53 guys playing the game, and say half of them are on the defense. I think it's all individuals there. It's really half of those guys and just a ton of individuals for the New York Jets not playing together, not playing as a team, not on the same page. And that's the problem right now for this New York Jets team, and something that hurt them all season long. It seems that they just were not on the same page as a group, as a 53-man roster. They are not on the same page. And if you do that and you have that in your locker room, you're not going to win games. So I think when you look at this game overall, the Jets definitely on offense played a lot better. The offensive line looked good, and just everything that comes with a football game. In the end, the defense didn't step up this game for the New York Jets. So I would say, on the other hand, there's been games where the Jets offense hasn't stepped up and the defense has been left out to dry. This time, it's the other way around. So when is it going to come together? When is it going to be the offense has a good game, the defense has a good game? It's too late for that. It seems this season. When is it going to happen in the future? And obviously, there's a lot of question marks that would happen heading into this offseason. But the Jets sit at 3-8, and this season's really over. All over. You're going to expect the Jets to really lose some of those games. They have a game in Buffalo. They got a game in Miami. Like, they're going to lose a lot of those games, and it doesn't seem like they're winning games anytime soon. I said that on Friday. They can't beat anybody right now. So all of a sudden, you have a bad team coming in. They're probably going to expect to beat the New York Jets because they look like the worst team in football. And obviously, there's a team on the other side of MetLife that we'll get into in a little bit. I mean, the Jets just cannot beat anybody right now, and that's a real problem. If they wanted to be contenders at the end of the year, you got to just do the little things. And one day the defense doesn't play well, the next day the offense doesn't play well. That can't happen as a football team. And obviously the Jets are feeling that right now at 3-8. A lot of guys that, downgraded from last year and have been a lot worse. Sauce Gardner obviously is getting all the buzz in the Jets media right now. Obviously a very down year for him. I do still have belief in a guy like Sauce Gardner. However, this season's been absolutely abysmal, and he deserves a lot of blame for how he's played so far this season. He's supposed to be the Jets' lockdown corner and one of the best corners in all of football, and he's been far from that so far this season. So a lot of improvement that he'll need in the offseason, but I'm already looking towards the offseason. I think this season's just over, and obviously there's some more weeks to go, and now the Jets head into a bye week, a much needed bye week, of course. But I mean, too little, too late for this bye week, it seems, as the Jets really, really struggling right now and have to come together as a team and show some fight for their fan base in the last couple of games of this season. Obviously, 5 more games to go after the bye week, and have to look at those games and say, all right, well, where can we win there? I said 5, actually 6 more games, but they have to look at those games and say, where can we improve? Where can we really prove that this roster is solid enough, and just have some fight for this franchise that's been through so much and their fans in recent years. And I mean, it's just really hard being a Jets fan right now and watching these teams. It's almost unwatchable how bad the Jets have been this season. So they fall to 3-8. And the Colts move to 5-6. Indy with a 28-27 win on the road at MetLife. And the Jets are in the basement right now in the NFL. We move things to the other side of MetLife as the New York Giants, although they're on a bye week this week, have announced today on Monday, November 18th. Head coach Brian Daboll said that they're making a quarterback switch, and Daniel Jones is out. Tommy DeVito is in, and Drew Lock will be the backup as they look towards next week's game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's going to be a big one for the Giants to obviously bounce back after the loss before the bye week in Munich to the Carolina Panthers. And when you look at this Giants team and what Tommy DeVito was able to do in 9 games last year, should be some sort of improvement in the passing game. Obviously, Daniel Jones has had his struggles when it's come to the passing game this season. And when you look at Daniel Jones, the difference is obviously the legs have been a positive for some stages of this season and so far in his NFL career. But the passing's been pretty woeful in the end when you look at the numbers. And Tommy DeVito, on the other hand, last year, obviously a 64% completion percentage, over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 picks in 9 games. Solid enough stat line. I mean, when you look at it, the Giants just need anything to go when it comes to the passing game, and DeVito could hopefully give them that. And I think it's going to be a big time for targeting his top weapons and his reliable weapons, guys like Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors, who've been pretty much locked down when Daniel Jones has been at quarterback the last couple of weeks. So I think when you look at this for the Giants, it was time for the move. Obviously sitting in the basement right next to the New York Jets. 2-8 the Giants sit at right now, and obviously just looking for wins and some positivity right now in the franchise. And I mean, Brian Daboll, looking at it, although it may not be the smartest decision from John Mara at the end of the year, he's fighting for his job right now. He needs to rack up wins and show that he is still a good head coach, and all he really needs is a quarterback to improve his team and improve his coaching job, excuse me. So when you look at Tommy DeVito in the end, I like I said, I think it's the good mood for the Giants. It was time. Obviously sitting in the basement, and I think when you look at the Giants overall, it'll help their top pass catchers and help this offense get to another level and help out the defense just a little bit. The defense, middle of the pack's been playing really well this year. It's just they have not gotten help and haven't gotten touchdowns from the offense. I think that's the big thing for DeVito coming in, is getting the ball in the end zone. The Giants cannot score touchdowns with Daniel Jones at quarterback. It's been Tyrone Tracy getting in the end zone or nothing. Yes, let's take out the one game where Daniel Jones threw for a couple touchdowns against Washington and had a solid enough game in the end. You look at it, they don't score enough. And it was proven in the Carolina game the week after. So definitely an interesting time for the Giants, and they make the switch. Brian Daboll, I said it, trying to save his job here and trying to save his job as the Giants head coach heading into next season, as well as this one is all but over, but just a little bit more left. And Tommy DeVito will be leading the way. We'll preview the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming to town to take on the New York Giants. We'll preview that later in the week. Let's take things to the hardwood, as the New York Knicks were in action both on Friday and yesterday, Sunday, with wins over the Brooklyn Nets and their crosstown rival. And Now the Knicks sit at 7-6. The Nets move to 5-9. And when you look at Friday's game, it came down to Jalen Brunson. Game on the line, needs a big shot and gets it to go with a three-pointer with 6 seconds left to win. That was an NBA Cup group stage game, and the Knicks win that 124-122. And then you look at yesterday's game on Sunday, and it was Karl-Anthony Towns who was the story here. 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists in that one, and able to defeat the Brooklyn Nets in the end. And Towns, I think the difference in those games where Nick Claxton and the absence of him and Dorian Finney-Smith really having to play center in the Brooklyn Nets lineup in these last couple of games. And I think Karl-Anthony Towns took that as a message and said, yeah, all right, this is going to be easy work for me. So I think when you look at Towns, and I mentioned the addition each time I talk about the Knicks, it's been fantastic for the Knicks so far, and obviously they're hoping for that to continue and hoping for him to stay healthy. Obviously a huge need for the New York Knicks to have Karl-Anthony Towns healthy and in the lineup each and every night. So when you look at it overall, Towns has been absolutely electric for the New York Knicks and had a great game once again. Obviously, this one on Sunday, not a big three-point shooting game, just really taking it into the defender, taking it to the rack, and finishing 10 of 16 he shot on the day. Only 3 3-point attempts. So that was big for New York, really getting Towns into good areas down low. And that's been a successful thing for the New York Knicks, as now they move to 7-6, and some of the noise is quieted down just a little bit. Obviously, when they're looking at these games, they're not judged on the games versus the Brooklyn Nets, who are pretty much in a rebuilding mode right now, although Cam Thomas is just playing his game and playing really, really strong so far, and had a monster game, 43 points on Friday, only 16 yesterday on Sunday. But when you look at the Brooklyn Nets, they put up a good fight, and to only lose to the Knicks in 2 games by a combined 12 points, you'll probably take that. Of course, the Nets want their wins, and obviously want their big wins. Their fans do, against their crosstown rival in the New York Knicks. But even so, they kept the games close. They gave the Knicks a run for their money, and yes, the Knicks, the better team in the end, and came out with a couple of wins. But some positives for the New York Knicks. I mentioned Towns, but the real progress that they're seeing in Mikal Bridges as well as OG Anunoby. Those two have been really, really strong in the last couple of games. And you look at Sunday's stats, and 24 points, 8 rebounds for OG Anunoby, along with 21 points and 6 rebounds for Mikal Bridges. So a lot of improvement there. Definitely need those guys to step up when it comes to scoring. Obviously, the Knicks are without Deuce McBride for a little bit. He's definitely dealing with something and has been out for the last couple of games. So a lot of that scoring, they're not getting really any scoring off the bench. Of course, Campaign's been pretty solid over the last couple of games, but you look at the Knicks overall, their scoring is going to have to come from that starting lineup and that starting 5. And even Josh Hart yesterday was really, really strong, 20 points for the Knicks to help them win by 10 over their crosstown rival Brooklyn Nets. So should go down as a good couple of wins for the New York Knicks. As now let's look towards tonight, and the New York Knicks taking on the Washington Wizards. Wizards really struggling, sitting at 2-10 near the bottom of the NBA. And I mentioned it before, Knicks sitting at 7-6 now, a 7:30 start tonight, and the Knicks come in as 14.5-point favorites. Of course, when you look at the Wizards struggling and the Knicks really playing well and their starters really coming together, the big spread obviously explains it, and it should be a easygoing game for the New York Knicks. But if you've watched the Knicks recently, it's kind of in those big spread games been anything but easy for the New York Knicks, and really come down to the wire. So they need to handle business tonight, really go to town on Washington, and to continue to bring confidence to the starting lineup and to this team overall. going to be without Deuce McBride once again. Of course, they're without the bigs as well still in Precious Achiuwa and Mitchell Robinson. I think when you look at the Knicks overall and what they've done in the last couple of games, I just talked about it a moment ago, just really relying on those starters to put up points. And if those starters can't put up points, it's going to be a long day for them. Of course, they have the capability now where if one guy in the starting lineup is not shooting well, he's got 4 other guys that can really step up for him in his place. So this one should be pretty straightforward for the New York Knicks, but tune into this one later. 7:30 start, 14.5 is the spread for the Knicks. 7-6 taking on the 2-10 Wizards. Tune into that one later. And let's finish things off today with a Monday Night Football preview. It's the 6-4 Houston Texans taking on the 3-6 Dallas Cowboys. The big story in this game, Dak Prescott officially on IR and out for the rest of the season. Cowboys sitting really low in the NFC East, but not below the Giants. They still sit at 3-6 a game above the Giants in the end, and obviously have to play this week against Houston, who's, struggling a tiny bit coming off a couple losses and really have to turn things around. A couple losses to the Jets and the Lions in back-to-back weeks. So you look at this one, a Monday night game for Houston, and the spread is sitting at 7 for the Houston Texans. I think this is a huge statement game for Houston to prove that those couple of losses in recent weeks really is not the story of this team. And when it comes playoff time, they got guys that can really change the game and step up. Obviously, they're getting Nico Collins back, their star wide receiver for this one. And Dallas, whose defense has been woeful so far this year, is going to have a tough time having it to control him and this offense overall. Been a couple of rough games for this Houston offense and really just looking to bounce back here. And the spread very high. Of course, the injuries for Dallas, and it's going to be Cooper Rush at quarterback. The total, I haven't even mentioned it yet, sitting at 41.5. This one, a low total. And I'm expecting a low-scoring game, just a brutal game in the end. I'm expecting on a Monday night, and I just think it's based on the Dallas Cowboys offense. I don't know if they're going to be able to put up points. I think Houston will have a game plan and really go after Cooper Rush at quarterback for Dallas. Maybe the Cowboys can surprise some people and try and keep it close. But how can you go with the Cowboys right now? I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. I think when you look at the quarterback situation, it's just brutal for Dallas. And then you say, all right, well, maybe the defense can get some stops. The defense has been terrible for the Dallas Cowboys. So I give the advantage here to Houston, and the spread says that. I'll take Houston to win. I'll take Houston to cover or even push if you want to keep it a little closer. I don't think that they win this game by less than 7 points. I just cannot see it. I think Houston has the huge advantage all over the place over the Dallas Cowboys, who are dealing with all of those injuries right now. So this one should be a pretty brutal game in the end, and I'm taking the under in this one as well at 41.5. I think just low scoring. Like I said, Cowboys not going to be able to put up points on offense in my mind, and Houston not going to put up enough points in the end to hit this over. I'll take the under here with confidence in the Texans and Cowboys Monday Night Football showdown. 8:15 start. Tune into that one. But that'll do it for episode 21 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malamud. Thanks for watching, and talk to you all on Wednesday.